Easy.
Nice.
That's easy.
Yeah.
Hey guys, welcome back to a very special episode of Chuckload of Comics. We're broadcasting live from C2E2, the Chicago Comic and Entertainment Expo Day 3. We are sitting down with one of the guys who's got one of the biggest, most amazing booths as soon as you walk into C2E2.
Yeah, buddy.
Steve Bilyeu with Impact Theory.
Yeah, so Tom Bilyeu, we collaborated with Steve Aoki.
Did I say
you matched
Steve
us together,
Bilyeu?
and we would be a superhuman, admittedly, but sadly, we have not
Tom
made that
Bilyeu.
happen yet.
So you mentioned Steve Aoki just now.
Yes.
Your new book, Neon Future. Tell us about it. Kind of what I mean, Steve Aoki, everybody knows.
Yeah.
Massively famous Grammy Award winner. Let us know about the book.
So it's set 30 years in the future in an America where advanced technology has been outlawed, and our story kicks off when the world's most famous anti-tech crusader dies and is resurrected using the very technology that he was trying to destroy. And when he comes back, his resurrection basically sparks a civil war between people who have technology embedded in their bodies and people who do not, and he's got to decide what side of that war he's going to fight on.
And Steve is the star of the book?
Steve is one of the characters, so if you think of him as our Morpheus, that probably gets you closer. So he didn't want to be the central character. He wanted us to be able to tell a whole host of stories, but he's there in the background, the one that sort of keeps this guy on a path.
Yeah.
And it's been really cool to have him as one of the characters, but very freeing to not have to have a celebrity in the lead role.
No, well, I've talked to some people. Was just talking to Jay Washington, Collider Movie Talk, Collider.com. He's read the book, loves the book. I was flipping through it, and the art is the very first thing that jumped out. I mean, and the art in this book jumps off the page. Absolutely gorgeous. What can you tell us about kind of the artists of the books?
Man, I can tell you a lot. So it's set in the real world and the digital world. So we have two different artists, and the real world is drawn by a DC mainstay, which is Neil Edwards. He's done work for Wonder Woman. He's done in Marvel as well. He's done X-Men, a whole host of Superman. Really done a lot of marquee stuff. And then the digital world is drawn by Jeremy Rapak, who did Injustice for DC.
Wow.
So yeah, top level guys. And then the unsung hero of this book is Abe Lee, who does the color, and that guy is just absurd. His background is concept art, and he did a portfolio review at San Diego. Literally just walked up, and I looked at his portfolio and I was like, "What the hell, dude? Like, your work is so sick." So I was like, all right, this guy has got to work for us. So we actually brought him and two other colorists in-house, and he's trained them in his particular style, which is just eye-popping.
Yeah, I mean, the color's spectacular. Everything about it. I mean, the illustrations are fantastic. Tom, I know that Steve's a really big comic book fan.
Yeah.
And how did you two link up together? How did your paths cross and launch this amazing thing?
I have an interview show called Impact Theory, and he was a guest on the show. And in researching him, I realized that he, in real life, plans to be cryogenically frozen when he dies.
Who doesn't?
And I thought, man, that is my kind of guy. Somebody that's like not going to accept death. Yeah. And I realized he was a techno-optimist. I'm a techno-optimist. So I pitched him a thumbnail sketch for the idea of what would it look like if somebody with your level of compassion could actually bring people back from the dead with technology. And he liked the idea, and we sat down, brainstormed, built it into a world, brought in Eisner Award-winning writer Jim Kruger to help us flesh out the world, and that's how we're here.
This thing is a hit before it even launches worldwide. Because, I mean, it's not on stands just yet, right? You can only get it
literally in 5 days.
In 5 days, and it's going to be on, Diamond. It's going to be in every single comic book shop in America and worldwide, I'm sure.
Yeah, buddy.
Are we ready for the Neon Future takeover of comic book fandom everywhere across the world?
We are so ready. We're amped up. We've got we're almost done with the 6th issue, so this will be a 6-issue miniseries. If it crushes, then we'll do more. But yeah, I'm super excited. I think the quality of the book is really on point. And that's why we're giving away issue 1 here today.
I saw that.
I want people to know, like, we're not trying to hide anywhere. I'm not trying to get your money. I want you to read it and see that it's legit. I want lifelong fans. And so we're here to build a community, get people excited about what we're doing as a publisher.
Yeah, I mean, something I've noticed a lot recently is entertainers, people who aren't who maybe their background isn't specifically in comic book writing, comic book illustrations, but I mean, celebrities. We were sitting down with Daryl DMC McDaniels here yesterday, and I mean, people like him. Will.i.am had a massive book that just launched last year. Method Man, big comic book guy. CM Punk, like all these people are coming out of the woodwork. These people who already have really famous platforms getting into the comic book biz, and Steve Aoki. I mean, add the name to the list. What do you think it is? I mean, you having worked with Steve, I don't know if you've had this discussion yet or not.
I have, and so I interviewed DMC as well, had him on the show Impact Theory, and dude, they all have one thing in common. They're extraordinarily creative people. And the reason that it plays out so well in music is to create that kind of thing. Like, you've really got to be dedicated to your craft. You really have to be turned on by art in general. And so a lot of them are highly visual. They're drawn to the music video as much as they're drawn to the music. And so for them to finally have a visual medium that they can really express themselves is super exciting. And I know that's a big part of what drives DMC. It's a big part of what drives Steve. And I think you're going to see more and more of that. And actually, since we launched Neon Future, we've had other artists reach out. Hopefully some of them will come through to tell you who they are. Would be really awesome. Like, yeah, it would people that you want to see what they would do visually.
Yeah, and that makes perfect sense. I mean, creative people are creative people, whether it's in music or just transfer that over. Something like, again, going back to the DMC conversation, he talked a whole lot about, you know, being a kid, reading comic books, and seeing himself in the books. You know,
1,000%.
Like you can translate. Same way with Steve, because I mean, Steve in real life, you were saying, is a techno optimist.
Yeah.
Which is, I assume, like a similar character in the comic book, right?
Yeah. So it's really interesting to see. So the name of Steve's character is C2E2, which is actually an anagram for Steve Aoki. And there is definitely a lot of him in it. And we also modeled the character after Nelson Mandela. So
Really?
In the book, it's like the division between people with technology embedded and people without. And so it becomes somewhat of a race class war. And if you look at, I don't know if you ever read Nelson Mandela's autobiography, A Long Walk to Freedom, it is so good. It's
Really?
crazy. This guy goes to prison for 27 years, and people were like, dude, you've got to basically sanction a violent revolution. And he said, absolutely not. And he said there are three ways to deal with oppression. You can remain oppressed, become the oppressor, or find a third way. And that's what we wanted to explore with the character C2E2, is what is that third way? And his sort of nemesis in the book is a person who was part of the Neon Future, which is the resistance group that's sort of bucking against the government that's trying to oppress them. And instead of making the government the bad guy, it's another person who has a very legitimate argument, which is we should use violence.
Yeah.
So I'm tired of seeing my friends die. And so you get this, like, which is right. And so it's, I think the best villains are ones that believe that they're the hero.
Yeah.
And so we have that cool dichotomy going on in the book, and it's really fun to explore that.
I'm insanely excited to read this book, man.
Thank you, man.
You describe it so well. So you're at C2E2 right now.
Yes.
The book launches in 5 days. Where's the show going after you leave Chicago?
So we literally are hot-footing it to WonderCon. So we'll be there. We'll have a booth there as well. We're hot at work on issue 6 already. So just trying to wrap this bad boy up. We do about 4 cons a year. We're super active socially. So between us and Steve Aoki, we have a social audience of about 22 million people.
Wow.
So we're really trying to build that community. And before I got into this, I actually had another company called Quest Nutrition. And we built that company from not existing to being valued at over $1 billion
The
in 5
bars?
years. Yeah.
Yeah.
So super long and weird story, but I actually did that company so that I could, the really short sort of growth story is I went to film school, got out, made a movie, wrote a movie that was turned into a film starring Michael Madsen, who's in a lot of Tarantino's films, and I was really heartbroken with how it came out, and met these 2 successful entrepreneurs, and they said, look, man, you come into the world with your hand out, and if you want to control the art, you have to control the resources. And so they said, come with us and get rich. And then you can go make movies your way.
That happens
and I was
to
like,
me all the
this
time.
sounds amazing, right? Like, take 18 months and be rich. This is incredible. And of course, it didn't quite pan out like that. It took 15 years, but over multiple businesses, we actually ended up building Quest. It was valued at over $1 billion, and exited that about 2 years ago to start the comic book company and create IP that has empowerment at its core, but at the end of the day is entertaining. But so movies that I wish we had made, The Matrix, Star Wars, Karate Kid. I mean, there's a lot of films that really have something at the core, but you can also just be entertained by it, and it's rad. So
Well, it's exciting to hear. I mean, God, you just made me think of a whole nother thing. The fact that you're making this incredible comic book, but you have a history and a background in film. Do you see this thing making the leap onto the big screen?
1,000%. So I personally would like to see this as a TV show, and we're exploring animation now because the world is so big and the issue is so interesting, and it would be very easy. Like, honestly, as creators, I can't tell you where we're going to end the series, like which side is going to win, because they're both valid points. And if we could get something that was ongoing, like a TV show where we could really explore that. Our thing is, though, you have got to be true to the medium that you're in, and this is a comic book first and foremost, and we're really taking it seriously. That's why we have the highest level artists. The writing, again, Jim Kruger, Eisner Award-winning guy. Like, we're really, really invested in making amazing comics. But storytelling is storytelling, and ultimately we want to reach a mass audience. And so just exploring any and every way that we can to go big.
Well, if Chuckload of Comics can help you in any way to help make this thing the biggest comic book on the planet, just let us know.
Dude, you guys are already doing it, man. Thanks for having us.
Dude, I'm so excited for this book, man. I can't wait for it to come out. I can't wait for everybody on the planet to be talking about it. 5 days from now, guys, Neon Future is going to be hitting a comic book shop near you worldwide. Distribution, are you just sticking to the U.S. for starters, or are you going gangbusters right off the top?
So right now we're US, UK. Ultimately, we would like to go as big as we can. I actually have a trip in May to Japan. I'm super intrigued with what's going on over there. I think that with manga, they really have a finger on the pulse of youth culture. And when you look at comic culture now, it's like we've got to really get fresh young voices. We have to get new people buying the books, and so I really want to be well versed in what's going on over there. Looking at manga as a potential storytelling platform. As somebody with a background in film, the first time I picked up manga, I was like, holy hell, this is like storyboards. It's so smooth and seamless, and it's like if you read Blame, it's like 350 pages, and in a Western style comic it'd be about 40 pages. So you really get a sense of the difference in storytelling, and I love both. I think they both have just like extraordinary things to offer, and being able to do both for me as a creative would just be extraordinary.
That seems like a no-brainer. That seems like it's going to happen right away.
Well, the crazy thing is, like, the street is littered with the bodies of American companies that have tried to do manga and have just been unable to capture that aesthetic. And so I want to be cognizant of that, and really think about it and try to better understand the people that are reading this stuff and how many people are crossover. Like, I read both and I love both, and I think that they're so different but yet easily understandable and digestible, and one minute you want one, the next you want the other. So to me, it's not an either or. It's like really bringing them together. But just looking historically at sales, it's like people do one or the other. And it's the rare sort of dark horse that's been able to have success in both.
Kind of like with film too, and it's really hard for manga type movies to make a big splash in the U.S.
Truth, but they crush as anime. So it's like, really trying to figure that rhythm out and understand what the audience wants, and coming in with the humility to say, all right, I don't know what's going to pop off, so I really need to get in here and get beyond what I respond to as a creator and find out what do other people responding to, and then sort of reverse engineer that.
What'd you think of Alita Battle Angel?
Dude, I was into it. I think visually it's really, really extraordinary.
I loved it.
I think that there's a reason that one's going to play out, I think, historically to be a little bit niche. There's a reason they launched it in February, which is typically where films go to die. So if something's released in January or February, you can kind of assume that the studio is a little hesitant. But visually, I thought it was really, really extraordinary and shows where this stuff can go. But there have been a couple misses in the cyberpunk genre, which I personally love, where people put some real money behind something and it just hasn't landed with audiences. So that kind of stuff gives me pause, especially Blade Runner 2049.
One of my favorite movies of that year. Oh my God.
Yeah. One of my favorite movies of all time. I fucking love that thing.
I adored it. Every time I see it.
On this, but
man, I mean, I saw it like 5 times and absolutely adored it.
So good. But it was a total miss from a dollars and cents standpoint. So it's like that kind of stuff, that'll take your breath away.
Hopefully Dune has a little bit better...
I think he's untouchable as a director. Like, Villeneuve is at the top of his game. And right now, literally, if he was like, I'm doing a Garbage Pail Kids movie, I'd be like, I'm there, bro.
Oh, kidding me? That'd be amazing.
Yeah, that guy is just so extraordinary.
Tony, I know you're trying to say something over there.
Speaking about visuals, I did take a few minutes and I did flip through the book. And I just got to say, visually and the color choice, the color palette and everything, it pulled me right in. So I'm actually really excited to get in and actually read the story, because the visuals on this I'm already interested. It's amazing. So
cool.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much, man.
Well, guys, Tom Bilyeu, Neon Future, Steve Aoki, 5 days, about to take the entire comic book world by storm. Find them. I guess there's a neonfuture.com.
There is comics.impacttheory.com.
Okay, Impact Theory is the name of the company. Neon Future is the name of the book.
Yes.
Tom Bilyeu is the name of my new best friend. and Steve Aoki, guys. Thanks a lot for watching. For more information, and if you missed any of this interview, if you guys are walking around, you can find it on Chuckload of Comics on YouTube, chuckloadofcomics.com, and we'll be here at booth 1876 at C2E2 all weekend long. Join us here every Sunday for a breakdown of everything happening in the world of fandom, comic books, movies, television, everything happening, nerdy culture. Find it right here on Chuckload of Comics. Tom, thanks a lot for being here, man.
Thanks for having me, man.
All right, guys. See you later.
Where's
That was fun, man.
Thank you.